White, Clay's the Instructional Technology Specialist for the buoy feeder pattern. And you can see his title up on the board, Evaluating Technology Integration in the Classroom.
Just remember for the evals, I'm the guy with the tie. All right. As Chris Sherman mentioned, my name is Clay White, Instructional Technology Specialist for the buoy feeder pattern. And the subject of my TED Tech talk today is evaluating technology integration in the classroom. And I started with this slide here in the hopes that by the end of this presentation, my light will not be dim. I'm just hoping you guys will stay with me on this.
We love you, Clay.
Thank you, boss. I love you too. All right. So to begin my discussion, I'd like to take a little stroll down memory lane here and just show you a real quick video about the evolution of technology tools in the classroom.
The history of technology in education. Let's begin. How are you going to shape the classroom of tomorrow?
All right, and as we can see from that video, we've made huge strides in terms of technology in the classroom. I mean, especially within the last few years, we've had this huge influx of technology tools in the classroom. And these new tools that are coming in are way above that projector and the VCR and the DVD player. They're a lot more powerful, they're a lot more sophisticated, and they're a lot more expensive. We're bringing in smart boards, Mimios, iPads, okay? And because these tools that are coming in are more powerful, more expensive, we as educators kind of owe it to society to make sure that we integrate this technology successfully. Okay, there's a lot of expenditure, a lot of money out there, and there's a lot of expectations. So we've got the tools now in the classroom. We need to make sure that we're integrating and using this properly in the classroom. So what I'd like to do to continue this is I'd like to look at something that we're all familiar with. That is, of course, Bloom's Taxonomy. That is the bread and butter been the bread and butter in education, evaluation of knowledge for quite a while, since 1956. But it was retooled in 1990 by a student of Bloom's to reflect more of the 21st century type of classroom. And notice they've got the same levels, the same number of levels, there's 6 levels, and they're all pretty much the same. You have analysis and application about the same level. But notice what happened to the evaluation process. It actually got demoted on the new one, and now look at what's at the top of Bloom's Taxonomy, creating. Okay, that is the key, and as I go through this presentation, I'd like you to remember that as we go through this and you think about evaluating technology in the classroom. Creating, that's the key. What are the students creating? Now, this is Bloom's Taxonomy digitized. Well, once they retooled it for the 21st century classroom, this is a visual tool here to let us see, or what we can see here in terms of the tools that are readily available for students in the classroom to reach these higher levels. Okay, you have some familiar ones here. You have Delicious, Google. You're going to find Google throughout all of the taxonomy, because Google is an outstanding tool for collaboration and learning. You've got YouTube, you've got Twitter, which Andy just mentioned a little while ago, Skype, Google Earth, Picasa, again, Google Docs. You have Wikipedia up here in the evaluation area, and up at the top, on the creating level, you have Wikispaces and VoiceThread and those kind of tools. Now, these aren't all the tools. These are just some of the ones that are out there that are available to teachers and students to move up the Bloom's Taxonomy. But I would like to pose a question to you. If you are evaluating a teacher, or you as a teacher are evaluating yourselves in terms of are you integrating technology successfully into the classroom, if you are using, let's say, Wikispaces in the classroom, just because you're using Wikispaces, does that mean that you are actually integrating technology successfully? Just because you're doing it, good. Someone said it. The answer is no. Okay, it's not so much using the Wikispaces. That's great, and it's fantastic that teachers using that. But more importantly, what are the students doing with that Wikispaces? And again, keep in mind that creating, right at the very top of that Bloom's Taxonomy. Now, this right here, we just said that this is not necessarily a good tool for evaluating. There's another tool that we're going to be using where we can actually go through and determine, is there successful technology integration going on in the classroom? And that is the SAMR model, S-A-M-E-R model, or S-A-M-R model. Basically, this model here is what we can use as administrators and teachers and educators to determine whether or not there is successful integration of technology in the classroom. There are 4 different parts to this, and it is a hierarchy here. So at the very bottom, we have substitution of technology. And basically, as you can see here, the technology acts as a direct tool or substitute. There's no functional change. In other words, the technology, all the students doing is they're coming in, and instead of using a typewriter, they're using the word processor. That's the lowest level. That's simply substitution. We're not doing anything with the technology. Then we go up to augmentation. Now, at that level, the technology acts as direct tool substitute, but there's some extra things happening. They're actually using the tool itself. They are going through and cutting and pasting, using the spell checker, the thesaurus, that sort of thing. They're actually using the tool itself to augment the lesson. Then we move up into the higher levels. Modification is the next level. Now, here technology allows for a significant redesign of the task. In other words, they're going to take that same task, and now they're going to do more with it. They're going to completely redesign what they're doing. They might use email to get information back and forth, to communicate back and forth with people. They might be using spreadsheets and graphic design programs to really retool that particular project. And then at the top, we have redefinition. And at the redefinition level, technology allows for the creation of new tasks. And again, you see that word creation, right? Creating new tasks that previously were inconceivable. Now, the best way to think about that is whatever task the students are doing, whatever project they're creating, can it be done without technology? If they are up at that redefinition level, then what they're doing cannot be done without technology. It has to be done. And you also heard Andy mention before tools like Edmodo, Schoology, that sort of thing. Well, they would be using that to collaborate and to work beyond the walls of their classroom. Another excellent tool for this would be video conferencing. Okay, video conferencing is an outstanding tool to be able to collaborate on an international level. Okay, if teachers and students, or actually students, are doing that, then they have reached that redefinition level, and there is definitely successful technology integration in the classroom. Now, let me go ahead and show you a video here real quick that explains a little bit more in detail the SAMR model.
This is the SAMR model in 120 seconds. The SAMR model is a framework that provides a lens for viewing technology integration in the classroom. The first level is substitution, or the idea that a block is a block no matter where it is or how you access it. This would be like using Google Docs as any other word processor. The new tech replaces the old tech, but it does not change the task. The next level is augmentation. At this level, the tech is still a substitute, but provides more functionality as students work to complete the same task. The ability to share your Google Doc in one click and the fact that it saves to the cloud automatically and provides you access from anywhere is an increase in functionality. The next level is modification. Here the ball really gets rolling because the technology is used to redesign parts of the task and transform student learning. Students collaborating on one Google Doc and using the comment feature to provide instant feedback is an example of modification. The final level of SAMR is redefinition. At this level, we're able to design and create new tasks that were once unimaginable. By shifting our perspective from technology just being another block or substitute, we're able to truly start imagining the possibilities. An example of redefinition would be connecting to a classroom across the world through students sharing Google Docs. They would each write their own narrative of the same historical event, using the chat and comment section to discuss the differences. Then students would use the Voice Comments app to discuss the differences they noticed and embed this in their class website as a culture walk. To recap, substitution is the same task, new tech replaces old tech. Augmentation is the same task, but the tech increases functionality. Modification, we're able to redesign parts of the task. Redefinition, we're able to create new tasks once unimaginable. As we move from substitution to redefinition, we're moving from enhancing to transforming student learning.
So, now that we've got a little bit of information about the SAMR model, what I'd like to do is show you some video here showing some teachers using technology in the classroom. They're using the tools. But I'd like for you to look at this and determine which level of the SAMR model this particular video or this particular teacher is using. So if you go ahead, and this is a science class, I believe it's elementary school.
Today's lesson was basically a review from the matter unit that we've been reviewing for about a week now. And it just helped them practice vocabulary skills and some concepts that were taught throughout the unit. Today we use a smartboard. I also used some United streaming footage in there to help refresh, to use it as a resource for the vocabulary, and some interactive games and activities so that they can practice with the vocabulary and the concepts of states of matter. I think it helps them by letting them work together in pairs. I always have my class paired up so they can share with their neighbors ones and twos, and hold them accountable for making sure they're engaged, fully engaged in the activity and responsible for the review questions that they might be asked.
Okay, so guys, what do you think? SAMR. And technology people, you can't answer. You guys already know the answer. Substitution, very good. If you said substitution, you were correct, because students simply use the smartboard to do what they would have done with pencil and paper. Okay, there was
just use an overhead projector to...
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, they are using the technology, but it's just, again, at the substitution level, there was nothing created. They weren't really sharing anything, collaborating anywhere. It was just basically just using the technology, and that was it.
Large chart tablet.
Yeah, you know, they were integrating, but it's at the lowest level. Okay, so if you said substitution, give yourself a big hand. You did good. Thank you. I love sound effects, by the way. You'll notice that as I go through. Anyway, all right. Next, we're going to look at a Next, we're going to look at a social studies lesson, and this is actually in high school, and I believe it's an honors class, and this is on international relations. So let's take a look at this and see what we think about this one.
Inspiration is a concept mapping.
Okay, this is International Relations Honors, and it's 9 through 12. What we did today was I introduced some concept mapping software called Inspiration. I modeled how to use it using a current event and problems and solutions. We created facts. We discussed problems regarding those facts, and we came up with solutions to address how to predict what's going to happen with the problem itself. The topic we worked on today was the very timely matter of Iran's nuclear weapons program, on whether or not it's for nuclear energy or for its nuclear weapons, and what would happen as a result. What can we predict is going to happen in the near future?
What other reason do we believe that they might use nuclear weapons?
One of their priorities was to destroy Israel.
Okay.
Now they're taking their textbooks and the readings that they have supposed to have done over the past week on basic theories of international relations, mainly liberalism and realism, neoliberalism and neorealism, so they'll be able to use a concept map to define what the different topics are, the different theories within those topics. And then I'm going to ask them at a later point to create Venn diagrams to discuss neorealism versus realism and neoliberalism versus liberalism. I find that when I have done lessons with Inspiration in the past, where I've used it as a note-taking tool, their scores on quizzes and essay tests just remarkably go through the roof, because not only are they learning the material, they're learning how to organize it within their own mind.
Okay, so what do you think? SAMR, or it could be a combination. Anybody? Okay, were they just substituting? No, because they were using a different tool, right? So, what do you think? There's arguments could be made for a couple of them. Somebody jump out there. Anybody? Okay. Well, okay. If nobody's willing to jump out there, I'll go ahead. This was actually augmentation and modification. Okay, and again, arguments could be made for either one. The students used the Inspiration software to map their ideas. They weren't substituting, they were using a new tool. Okay, the students used the program to make predictions. So in a way, they were creating. They were at the point where they were creating something with their predictions. And the students did share their idea with other students. So you might look at that as modification, but they didn't really take it to any level outside of the classroom. Okay, so if you thought augmentation or modification, thought good. I don't know where my picture went. Anyway, all right. So now one more we're going to do here. This is a science class. I believe it's like 4th or 5th grade, and this is the energy from the sun. So watch this one and see what you think.
Today's lesson was a culminating activity. We've been studying the sun and the sun's energy and how it affects our lives in our science classes. So I took the content and I integrated it into our language arts lessons. They were writing a public service announcement to convince their peers and their parents to use the sun's energy instead of using other energy sources that pollute or damage our environment. Today we used the flip cameras, and the children worked in pairs and interacted together to video each other, and then we also had the large cameras so that they were acting like the live video crew. I think it's great because we're going to be able to collaborate with a larger population. We've done a lot within our classroom and worked with their collaborative partners, but now they're going to be able to share it with kindergarten, 1st, even up to 5th grade. I think the reason it was so successful is because we had the background knowledge with the content, the science content, just allowing them to have the opportunity to research and to learn it so that they could develop and write their public service announcements.
What do you think? SAMR. That's all the way up at the redefinition level. Okay, the reason being is the students were creating a project. They were creating a new task. They were using the cameras to do that. That is the technology. okay, doing the product, and then they were sharing their videos with parents and other students and going beyond the classroom walls to share this. So this would be a definite example of redefinition. And if you said redefinition,
I am invincible! Invincible! You ow!
All right, so so anyway, to recap real quick, again, we have to evaluate this technology integration successfully, or to determine that if it is being done successfully. We have the substitution as the bottom level, then we have augmentation, modification, and at the highest level, the redefinition. Now, I'd like to leave you with some thoughts here. First of all, as mentioned before, we in our generation have a tendency to look at technology a little differently than the younger generation. We kind of look at it as perhaps something going wrong, that we're going to go back to being non-thinkers and that sort of thing. But the important part is the student. Okay, the student, what makes them tick? Technology makes them tick. It motivates them. It's something they have to know how to use and use properly. And it is our duty to make sure that they can go out and be productive citizens in this 21st century. Now, I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes here. This is from Mark Twain. I have never let schooling interfere with my education. Okay, so let's make sure that we are not the education institution that's going to interfere with their education. All right, and make sure that we grasp technology, use it correctly, and make sure it's integrated properly. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I made it!